Hey, what's up, everybody? So today I want to give my thoughts on the Spider-Man Brand New Day film. Now, this is a movie that took some while to get tickets to because the seating was next to impossible to get good seats. Either I was going to sit all the way in the front, I'm not going to do that, or all the way in the back, and I was going to go with somebody, and I was not going to subject them to sitting all the way in the back. So what is this movie about? This movie is basically following the last movie, which, let me just mention, I had very low expectations in watching this film. I didn't really remember anything from the last movie. I know there was like memory erasing going on, so it does continue on from that. But also in terms of how I felt going into this movie, I was honestly not hyped up for this movie. I just went to see it because I just heard good things about it, and I thought at best I was just gonna have a good time and nothing more. And that's what ended up happening for most of the movie, or at the beginning of the movie, I should say. So what do we have? What is this movie about? Peter Parker is completely by himself, and they'll let you know that from the beginning. He is sequestered, isolated. There's no Avengers. There's no Aunt May. She passed away, of course. There's no MJ. There's no Ned. They don't remember who he is, but he is keeping a close eye on them through social media. And we start off the film with that. He's checking the social media app, and he's just following on them, going to MIT and just living their life. And the only person that he really talks with is this one cop, which I liked. I liked that they introduced this Hispanic cop in there, and I liked her role. She was an interesting character. I would want to say that I maybe wanted a little bit more, but I think they gave us just enough with that character. So he's basically by himself, and amidst all this that's going on, because he's having also some kind of hormonal arachnid issues going on, something like spider puberty that's been creeping up on him for some time. We also get introduced to some old villains of his, which is to be expected, and then this new villain that has these powers that I don't remember, because I used to watch the cartoons and I don't remember any of his classic original villains having. It's this telepathic body hopper that's going around. And I thought that was interesting how they introduced that villain, and that they chose actually to introduce that villain. I was not expecting them to do that. And I guess one way to be able to describe how I felt about this movie was the cadence, the tempo that they went with this movie, and the whole pacing of the movie that in no way kept me disengaged. I was very much engaged throughout the whole movie. And I thought at some point, being in New York and something about especially towards the beginning, I don't know if I'm the only one, because I was talking about this with my friend, it was a bit jarring when he jumps off the steel beam and he's swinging across the city. Like the picture was made for 3D. My eyes took a while to readjust. It didn't happen afterwards. It was only towards the beginning, maybe the first, I don't know, 10 minutes. But it was there, and it was screwing with me. I thought I was not going to be able to enjoy this movie just because of that. And then also just, I don't know, the whole New York thing. I feel like I've seen that so many times again with Spider-Man that I didn't think it was going to be that engaging. And I got to say, like, I was pleasantly surprised with what I saw. The dialogue, the introduction of these characters, his relationship with the Punisher, with Hulk, with Aunt May, going back to the past, the flashbacks, with MJ, with Ned, with himself, and everything that he's going on with his issues or newfound powers that he's initially trying to fight off first. I thought they did a really decent job, and decent enough that when you compile everything, you compound everything together, it made for a really interesting film that again kept me locked in and engaged, and I wanted a little bit more, and I want to even revisit the movie. I watch the movie again, like go for a second viewing. It was that kind of movie. I had a really good time with this movie and was not expecting it. I don't know if it's because my expectations were that this is probably not going to be good, despite hearing nothing but good things about this movie. I thought I was going to be like the only one that I don't think I'm going to like it that much. I didn't think I was going to hate the movie, but just not really care for this movie. And I was pleasantly surprised. Now, there are some things that I wish that they could have done a little bit better, especially with the Punisher and the Hulk, perhaps, and the main villain. I'm still not sure what in this movie I didn't mind so much, but what that main villain is going to have, which I'm going to reveal later on, but what they're going to have that villain do in subsequent movies. But as far as this movie goes, I thought they did a really good job, and I was pleasantly surprised by the actor that played that villain. So to start things off with the Punisher, I enjoy the fact that they didn't try to hijack the movie with the Punisher or Hulk, because of course, like a lot of people, I enjoy these characters. I know about these characters not as much as I would like to. I know the Hulk a little bit more than the story about the Punisher. The issue with the Punisher for me was that I felt like they still didn't get it right. Maybe it's just Jon Bernthal's version of the character that I don't like too much. It's so all this like roaring and grunting for no reason, even though he didn't do it as much in this one. I just remember in this series him doing that much, and I didn't really care for the series. And I guess they gave us the right amount of Punisher, but I still feel that there should have been more of the character, more of his essence in this movie. Now, I don't want them hijacking a Spider-Man movie. This is a Spider-Man movie after all. I gotta say, I just realized that my favorite Spider-Man is Tom Holland. I never really thought about it, but until watching this movie, I came to the conclusion that I really, really enjoy Tom Holland's version of Spider-Man. And so I would not want the Punisher to take over this movie and make it his own movie. But at the same time, we could also have a really good rendition and version of the Punisher. But I don't think we're going to get that as long as Jon Bernthal is the Punisher. I don't think he is god-awful. Okay, I'm not saying that. But definitely would want to see probably a different version of the Punisher. But for all intents and purposes, I thought he did a good enough job. And the whole dynamic, the whole relationship with him and Peter Parker, I thought was great. It was really good all the way towards the end. I didn't expect to really even say that much about the relationship that they had. There were moments where there was this like deep, earnest interest and caring between the two characters, and then there was playful moments where they were just like jibing and just like, you know, hitting barbs at each other's back and forth. That was nice to see. And then with the Hulk or Bruce Banner, I never liked Mark Ruffalo's interpretation of the Hulk. Never liked it, and it took this movie for me to see that, oh, I'm tired of this guy. I'm tired of this guy being the Hulk, and I'm ready for somebody else to reprise the role of the Hulk and just give us a different version of the Hulk. And as far as the Hulk goes, that whole version that we get, I still think it was too small. It's too soft, it's too nerfed. They kind of sort of redeemed him in this movie when he's fighting Spider-Man, and the second half of the interaction and the fight that they have when he turns into the real Hulk and he says there's no Banner, only Hulk, I felt like that was them kind of going back and saying like, we apologize for like making Hulk into this like little soft kitten, you know, this intellectual kitten, because that's all the Hulk pretty much was in this entire franchise, and it was pissing me off, you know. And then of course Mark Ruffalo's character did not really care about that, so I'm happy that they sort of more or less like fixed that in this movie. There could have been a little bit more of the fight. The fight was decent enough, it was good enough, but the fight could have been a lot better. I think it definitely could have been more, especially when he turns into he's just the Hulk. It definitely could have been way better than when it was. And of course, I think if we got that version of the Hulk where it's just like Hulk and he just grows and he's much stronger and much more monstrous looking thing, I mean, he probably would have snapped Spider-Man's neck in a split second when he's telling him that I'm your friend. There wouldn't have been I'm your friend. He wouldn't have gotten to that moment, because this Hulk was not to be trifled with. It was not to be messed with. So I like that. And then with the villain, the main villain, which is Jean Grey, surprise, surprise, I did not expect to like Sadie Sink's interpretation of this Jean Grey. I thought she did a really good job. I was expecting something like Stranger Things. As the movie progressed, it got better. That final scene where she's holding off thousands of people from New York, and she's got the director of Damage Control with shards of glass pointed at his face, and then going up against Spider-Man with the hand, using the hand to be able to fight Spider-Man. I thought she was great. She was really, really good. She's got range. I did not realize that she's got range. I don't know what's going to happen though after. I don't know how I feel about this, especially since, I mean, they're telling us there's going to be the X-Men. We're definitely going to get the X-Men. Maybe her and Cyclops, I can see that, but I don't see that kind of love triangle. I don't see like, I don't know if they're going to introduce a Wolverine, but I don't see that because she still looks like a kid. Now I know she's meant to look like a kid because she is basically a kid. In the real life, she's also like young, but she just gives off this very juvenile traits that I don't feel would blend well for an X-Men movie, when you got like Cyclops and the whole gang there. I don't see her doing that. In terms of her, like with the powers and everything, I guess I can see her as a young Jean Grey, but I don't see her maturing into the Jean Grey that, you know, we're expected to get. I don't really see her pulling that off. I could be wrong, completely wrong, and it's too early to tell. But I much prefer the old Jean Grey, and I'm talking about the Jean Grey from the 2010s, not the one from the 2000s, but the 2010s. I can't remember the actress. I thought she had the whole look, the acting, which a lot of people didn't like. I didn't mind. I thought she did a good job. The movies, obviously, I think it was the Phoenix, didn't do too well, but the actress, I thought she embodied that role. I don't know if she's gonna be able to do that. I guess the only thing that's left to do is just give her a chance. But in this movie, I thought she was great. She was definitely good. Marissa Tomei, I gotta point out Marissa Tomei because even though she wasn't, I guess she was integral to this movie, but her role was more integral, I think, than I anticipated. And the relationship that she still holds with Peter was, I mean, that was next level. Of course, a lot of people are going to say they've seen that many times. They predicted what she more or less was going to say, but it still landed. I don't know why it still landed. I thought it was such a good reprisal of Marissa Tomei, and it worked for the villain. It worked also that she was a female talking to another female. I don't know if that would have still held true if it was Uncle Ben saying that, but it was well done. It was very, very well done. Loved it. Loved that scene. So there were several questions that I was asking myself after the movie that maybe people could help me understand. Like, well, there are two things. How does he pay for all these things? Because there's no Tony Stark there, unless Aunt May left them some money. That's the only explanation I could think of. He went to Patreon. He created a GoFundMe page. He's side questing on the side, selling, I don't know, blowing glass. I don't know. I don't know how he's getting all that money to be able to fund all those gadgets, even though they're kind of like second, third hand. But still, that thing costs money. And then the apartment, like, how's he paying for that? Because he's got no job. He's not working for the Daily Bugle or anything like that. And then the other one is, did they perform surgery at the end with his mask on? Because supposedly the doctors and surgeons know who he is, but the Punisher was there making sure nobody looks at him? Or how did that work? Because there's no way you're going to be able to perform surgery with a dirty ass mask that's infected. It's going to infect the whole operating room. I don't know. How did that happen? Overall, I thought the movie was pretty good, and I'm looking forward to watching it again. I believe I want to watch this movie again. It was that good, and I was pleasantly surprised because we have so many Spider-Mans at this point, from the Tobey Maguire to Andrew Garfield, and then Tom Holland, all the appearances that he's made over the years, that I just didn't think it was going to be that good. And actually, it's perhaps, I don't know, I have to revisit again. Maybe in some time I'm going to think differently, but I was pleasantly surprised to walk to this movie and say, wow, this had everything. And it had it in such accurate proportions that it still kept me engaged. I was never the least bit bored that I wanted to check my phone or think about something else. I was trying to understand where this movie was going, what was going to happen next, why this was happening, the many theories in my head that were going on, like as to why this character was doing this, why that character was doing that. Oh, one thing I got to point out is like Zendaya. Thankfully, I think I was relieved when I saw Zendaya or MJ in the movie when it was toned down with the quirkiness, with those usual Marvel quips and jokes. That is not so much that they don't land, it's just like constantly, all the time. I just want to subdue MJ, for once, and we got a more mature and less jokey, bouncing all over the room Zendaya or MJ character. That was well done. I appreciate that. That for me was almost a relief. I was getting to the point that I couldn't stand her character just be Zendaya like she is in a lot of movies, just quirky all the time, and just that. The banter was there, like that one line that the Punisher goes up to her and tells her there's one rule, but then gives her like a whole mess of rules, and then she just comes back with, so there's 3 rules. That was good. I'm not going to be opposed to that, but sometimes, my God, sometimes it's just a little too much of that character. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.